last time someone took care of you? I'm not talking about the little things like picking up dinner or sending a text. I mean, when was the last time someone poured into you the way you pour into them? Because if you're always the one making sure they're okay, always the one keeping things together, always the one fixing, saving, nurturing, then we need to have a real conversation because you might not be in a relationship. You might be in a caretaking role. So, welcome back to the channel. This channel is where we explore relationships, personal growth, and all the tricky situations that life throws at us. I try to help you find clarity and confidence throughout your life. Now, back to the matter at hand. So, here's the tricky part about this kind of relationship dynamic. It doesn't happen overnight, it kind of creeps in. It feels like love at first. They're going through a hard time, and you step in to help. Okay. They have emotional wounds. And guess what you do? You soothe them. Well, they need support and you gladly give it. That's what love is. That's what it's supposed to be, right? You show up for each other, you support each other. And then something kind of shifts. You start taking on more responsibility because they can't handle it. You start managing their emotions because they never learned how. And then you start prioritizing their needs over your own because they need you, right? And before you know it, you're exhausted. But here's the dangerous part. You don't realize it right away. That's the dangerous part because at first it just feels like you're being a good partner. But then one day you wake up and you realize you're tired in a way that you can't explain. You're drained emotionally, mentally, physically. And when you look at your relationship, you start to see it clearly. You start seeing that this isn't love, this is caretaking. And there's a big difference. So here's the real kicker. When you step into the role of a caregiver instead of a partner, it doesn't just drain you, it enables the other person. You're over functioning, so they under function. You're problem solving, so they don't have to. You're carrying the weight, so they never learn how. And guess what? The worst part is when you finally get tired, when you finally express you're exhausted, they look at you like you're the problem. They start asking the following questions. Why are you so distant? Or they may ask, why are you pulling away? And this one, why are you acting different? But do they ever ask the real question? Why were you the only one carrying this relationship in the first place? Now let me ask you something. If you suddenly stopped reminding them about bills, you stop managing their emotions, you stop making excuses for them, would they step up? Or would the relationship fall apart? Hmm. And if the only thing keeping this relationship together is you, is it even a real partnership? So, this is the moment where it clicks for a lot of people. So, let's get real with ourselves right now. Ask yourself, I want you to ask yourself this: if I stopped showing up this way, would they step up? Do I feel loved, supported, and appreciated, or just needed? And if I didn't remind them, would anything actually get done? And here's a big one. Do you feel like a partner or a parent? Because true love isn't supposed to feel like a job constantly. Okay. Now, let me give you an example. Imagine you're in a relationship with someone who always forgets things. You start picking up the slack, reminding them of appointments, handling responsibilities, being the planner. And over time, they stop even trying to remember. So you become their mental load manager, their life assistant. And if you ever stop, it's it's not that they can't do these things, it's that they've never had to. Well, that's not love, that's dependency. And it's not healthy. It's not healthy. So now the big question is, what do you do about this? How do you go from a caretaker to an equal partner? So here's where the real work begins. All right. We have 4 steps. Step number 1, acknowledge the pattern. The first step is seeing it. If this video is hitting home for you, if you're recognizing yourself in these patterns, don't ignore it, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Step number 2, have the conversation. A relationship should be a partnership. So sit down and talk about it. Explain that you feel like you're carrying more than your share. But listen carefully to their responses. Do they get defensive, dismiss you, tell you that you're overreacting? If so, that's a red flag. Step number 3, I need for you to start setting boundaries. Start shifting the responsibility. If you always remind them about things, I need for you to stop. If you're always handling everything, pull back. Watch what happens. Do they step up or do they expect you to cave? And then the last step, step 4, make a choice. At the end of the day, some people will adjust. They'll recognize the imbalance and they'll start showing up differently. But others, they won't. And then you have to have a choice. You either have to decide to stay in a relationship where you're always giving, or choose a dynamic where you are equally valued, because you deserve to be with someone who meets you halfway, not someone who sits back while you do all the work. Now, so if this video hit home for you, if you're realizing that you've been more of a caregiver than a partner, I want you to do something for yourself. I need for you to take a step back and really observe your relationship. Watch how things function when you stop over functioning. And then ask yourself, do I want to be in a relationship that only works if I do all the work? Now, if you've ever felt this way, drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, then send the video to them. Okay? Because real love, a real partnership, it shouldn't feel like a second job constantly where you don't get paid. So subscribe for more real talk, and I'll see you in the next video.